Okay.
Hey everyone, you might be like following up on Tony Halfsend's video, or you're here because I'm doing a top 10 list, but this is going to be a not so top 10 list. And we're going to start with a very, very, very controversial topic here. And we're going to say, here, kitty, kitty. And it's mainly because of Lockheed, but realistically, I had to put her on the list. And so I heard you say why.
Yeah, the moment you pulled the screen up to start this top 10 video, I immediately thought you're either trolling me or you just happen to be looking at her before we started the video.
Yeah. So it comes down.
And I said she can't be on your top 10 list. She can't be.
So she's not okay. She's not on my top 10, but she's in my top characters to bring up. And so the problem becomes is we probably all over prioritized our mutants. We probably got Long Shot and Shatterstar. I almost said the other things we call them because Lone Star and Shatter, whatever. Anyway, you guys butcher their names for me on stream, so they get stuck in my head. But literally, the team going forward for the raids has been the Axemen. Now, you can probably flex in some characters, spend some extra cores on it, but the teams that are consistently one-shotting them consist of something like Kitty Pryde. And we talked about how her ISO has been changing, so she actually winds up becoming a healer, and it's because of the ISO. The ISO passive where she's applying the regen and also clearing bleeds from targets. So there's all these reasons why she is switching to a healer potentially, and more importantly, why we're gonna be So it's a very tough subject because I just want to go over kind of why these characters are potentially meeting us and becoming more difficult for us to rank. And it's because there is a brand new difficulty that ramped up. Is this character somebody you could take to Dark Dimension 4? The short answer is no. But if you didn't build her, you will be less prepared for the Doom raids when your Alliance first gets to try 1.1. And that's providing that's going to be around for a little while. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here and just move on from her as I accidentally click on healer to do it. So you'll see a couple characters in here, and the reason why they're on my list is because these are the 1.1 raid viable characters. These are the ones that you have to have strong consideration for as you bring them up in your roster. And so there's gonna be some not so surprising characters as we move through this. So obviously, Kitty Pryde, obviously met with some trepidation from my friend over here, who's not on there, and we're going to talk about this, is Minerva. Minerva is still a staple of the raid, and you're going to find out she's lower on the list than a lot of people probably thought she would be. And the main reason is because of the fact that she doesn't have the drain ability that a lot of other characters, the drain ability is on a longer cooldown. So mass phlebotomy is on a long cooldown. So Tony, how do you speed her up in the Doom raid, or do you even use her?
I did use her. I don't any longer. I did swap her out.
So take a look at this. So honestly, right here, you guys will see that I have actually. She doesn't have ISO 5, so that should tell you where she's on my list. The reason with that though is she's still a very strong contender for this. Well, so we're moving up the list over here, and obviously Venom, and we're going to talk about this. I don't think the 1.1 solution's in the game yet. So Venom is on his team. Well, he's who I'm swapping out for Philovel to hit auto on the first two symbiote nodes. I told you I was doing that, right?
Yeah. I want to see how that plays out, too.
Yeah, we're going to do a video. We're going to showcase Philovel. Now, remember, I've got a 6 red star, massively over-invested character. But for some reason, it's working and on auto, and she just happens to also fill a requirement for the allies tag, and we'll move on from that one. So next category here, and this one probably, again, people are like, why Beast? Well, so Beast is actually part of the Axemen group, falls in that category, amazing healer, buffs characters, and more importantly, if you're going to bring him, I don't know if we've talked about this. We're supposed to have a video on it with the Axemen with the power armor and having rescue and Falcon. So we're going to showcase that and what they can actually counter. Very interesting team. He's very, very good. Basically, if you don't have the Axemen, he fits in on your X-Men team. He slots in there and gives them added sustain as well as the ability. So he's a character that if you get him early game, you take him up late game, he's going to enhance your X-Men, and then later on your Astonishing X-Men for Doom Raids. So he's actually somebody who's probably lower on that list of yeah, we're going to keep going. Yeah, okay. So Night Nurse, Night Nurse is a lot higher than she is on this list. But the problem I have with her is she got replaced by Moondragon. But I still use her together with Moondragon because I don't have a 5th skill character until Captain Sam, shows up in the game. And so what's your Night Nurse at? You didn't even have her in your top 10 list.
No, she was not. Actually, ironically, it's funny that you mentioned it. Moondragon replaced her as where I used in Doom. I did use Night Nurse, but as you saw, I did pull a 7 red star Moondragon.
Yeah.
And I don't have any T4s invested in her yet, but she is just so good at everything. Yeah. So she took Night Nurse's place in Doom for me.
She's a Kestrel enabler, and I think that's the big difference here is the Kestrel enabler. So this one you probably didn't see coming. Like this was like
all of these. I'm like all of these.
So this is a very unique situation, and we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
So Falcon has the deflect built in, so because he has the high block chance.
Very high block chance.
So the idea behind it is if you can get him to take the ride with Doom when he gets to half health, magic happens when you get that special twice in a row, and the team just gets sped up, and you just blow up the enemy team and have lots of time meter left on the boss fight. Again, this is someone who's not going to be on a lot of people's choices, and I will say probably red star dependent to make it work to begin with. Now here's somebody who's probably in my top 10, and you're laughing. You're going, why?
This is not the list I was expecting. RemanX.
No. It's just so yeah. We're gonna talk about it. So while she doesn't do great in the Dark Dimension, she's worth the investment because she is performing in the Doom raid. So 1.1, they're hitting a lot harder. So there's an amplification and damage, and so there's 2 factors we talked about that really kind of stick out to me. Defense up and deflect help reduce the damage, and so her defense up. So she's super fast. And so spawns with speed up, so she gets to act before most characters even think about what they're going to do on their next turn, and she provides energy for the team, which is great for feeding the Kestrels and potentially the Dooms of the world. And more importantly, her healing is no joke. Without heal block, you can repeat it 4 times. Her health is the only thing that's held her back from probably most people's top 5. But the fact that on the passive, when they take near fatal damage in raid specifically, you're going to see that these are going to give 3 deflects. So right off the bat, you're talking about pairing her with somebody like Doc Ock, Dr. Doom, who can really benefit from these deflects and the defense up. It's really where you start to see some of that. And again, when they're sped up, the overall team functions. So talking about tech nodes, there weren't a lot of really good choices for tech for now.
Yeah, she actually is in my Doom lineup.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the thing. So from that, we're gonna move up the list here, and so, in no particular order. And so Jubilee's much higher on my list. She's on your list, so we'll let you guys check out Tony's video and explain that. Maw is probably like pushing the bottom of my top 10, and the only reason why he's still there is because of Force Transfusion and Insidious Whisper. And not Careless Whisper. That's a whole song that I'll get DMCA striked if I start singing. That's a different thing. But
I think you're safe.
No, probably not. I mean, I'm out of tune enough that nobody's gonna filter it. But so let's talk about that, right? So offense down and defense up. So we're. So
can I say something about this one?
Yeah.
It's interesting. If you recall, when the conversation we had a big group conversation about this. There was a perspective that without Thanos, he falls off a lot. And I gave some pushback with that. And I think he's still a very good, viable character. Whether or not he belongs in the top 10, I think that depends who you ask. But still, I think he's still an amazing character without Thanos. Is he better with Thanos? Yeah, absolutely. But
so the problem is you're going to find that he needs energy, right? So this happens fast enough that it happens where that you can probably get it through a couple of different scenarios here. But the biggest problem you're going to have is here, this force transfusion for it to actually be an effective heal, but it's also an effective heal in slow. So it's kind of funny because he's a controller port, a Strapolar, because he's kind of like a controller mixed with a support. Yeah, I don't know. I tried. Those are words. They're you could say fountainable, boundless. I can make up my own words too. All right, we'll move on from that one. All right. So we've got Scream here, and we're talking about Scream. So Scream is functionally like the one of the most important characters on your symbiote team. And so the reason why Scream is so important, and the reason why we have her here, is she is a dark dimension phenomena. And the idea that you could do the actual node that includes Emma Frost without her is probably baffling. More importantly, you're looking at 2 turn slow, turn meter rewind, offense down. So these are all the fundamental things we're looking for when we're looking for a raid solution. Not only that, she does have a passive heal, a speed up when a character dies for her whole team. So she makes the symbiote stick, and so she has to wind up on this raid pseudo top team. And if you don't have her, you will regret it. So honestly, I'm glad that she's become a little bit more available and out of those crazy RNG orbs. Sorry for those of you guys who have to suffer through RNG to get, Adam Warlock. But we're going to talk about this right here. And so a couple of characters here that are in the top. So Thanos, I actually had to do this recently, and I really felt bad about it. Like clicking that off, it just felt foreign that somehow he wasn't making it on my list. And so same problem I had here, because oh man, I'm not using him in a Doom raid. If there are people, if you're screaming no at your phone,
weird.
I felt,
oh gosh,
I felt the same way too. And by the way, it's kind of interesting. So we're at my top 10 here, but there are some characters that are filtered. By the way, this is why this took so long to make, is because of the Doom 1.1. We're getting a clearer picture of what works, what doesn't work, what could work, what might work. And so consensus number 1 pick is on the bottom over there, but we're going to talk about top 10 characters because in no particular order. Gamora is doing amazing things. Check out Tony's video. He goes into a lot more details than I want to right now. But Bishop, okay, so Bishop is in the category mainly because of the fact that he has the damage potential to make your dream work, because teamwork makes the dream work. And without him on your X-Men team, they just don't fire off on all cylinders. Now, you could mix and match X-Men with a number of other mutant teams. So think about it, right? We have Beast, Jubilee, and and Bishop over here. And so Iceman, we kind of have we definitely think that you can replace with Emma, but same thing with Kitty Pryde. Like those two characters are both characters you're gonna want to have. They really work well once you have the ISOs and them geared enough to actually work in the 1.1 raid. Something to take into consideration that the whole team is viable, but this character just excels in ways that others don't. From an amazing health pool and the ability to sustain damage to retaliatory strikes, and more importantly, just being able to wipe the board and get them spun up. Just thinking about once they start killing, they don't stop until the entire enemy is dead. And so that's the thing about the X-Men, is that he is the efficiency on that team. So
my favorite iteration of that team is using Dad Bros to replace Kitty Pryde and Iceman. And you gave a little pushback on that. You said that in .1 that might not be a viable way to go.
Yeah, so the problem with that is .1, some of the hybrid teams, like especially trying to clone a long shot. I almost said Legolas because you got like Fellowship stuck in my head because that's part of your brand. Like Legolas, no, long shot. If you haven't seen Tony's brand, like hang out with him, top in his Discord, you can see the Fellowship channel. It's pretty cool. But like Fellowship of the Ring, watched with my kids recently. So Legolas, long shot. Anyway, literally, unfortunately, they get burst down too quickly. They don't have the sustain where if any one of the members of the X-Men take near fatal damage, you get a quick speed up from Beast, who helps intervene. You get the blind from Jubilee early on. You get some speed, and you get that first turn taunt from Bishop. Yeah. So it's still debatable whether or not you can kind of hybridize that team even more. It isn't working in 1.1 as well. Some people have had success, but that's RNG in their favor. So Doc Ock, the king of the ocean with his octopus and his tentacles. Like I mean, I know that octopi are kind of related to krakens, so I had to kind of like, you know, probably invest some.
King of the ocean. As soon as you said that, I was like, maybe the laboratory. But
yeah, well, I mean, I just, so I was going with the whole octopus, you know, the reference.
Yeah, I followed.
So I said, is octopi the plural? Well, if leave it in the comments if you guys think it is. So yeah, Octopus is probably one of the best characters, and because he's raid viable, DD4 viable, he's probably solidified his way into the top 10. And he actually pulled a 7 red star for me when it came to promotion time. I thought he got an infield promotion. Carnage. Now, the reason why Carnage is here and above the rest of his team isn't that he's good in Dark Dimension. It's that, well, his passive is so important to the team. You know, he's the reason why maybe you take Venom over him. If you had infinite resources, you take Venom over him in Dark Dimension 4. But without that, his speed up and his ability to drag over buffs, more importantly, his ability to do some burst damage is pretty sick. And this is really one of my favorite things the art department did. You know, the you know, his tension.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say let's just take a second to appreciate how great he looks. He looks pretty darn sweet.
Yeah, they did a great job. So so this is a character that I think is probably falling off. She's in here because her ability to spread debuffs, and she does have she is a very important sidekick to Greg. So realistically, Greg, you know, it's definitely you're bringing her because of Greg. But you know, just because you invited her to hang out with her friend doesn't mean you don't want to have some, you know, chat her up a little bit. She's a phenomenal. Her ability to spread debuffs, more importantly, disrupt for 2 turns, being able to help turn meter rewind. A couple, you know, the passive heal from when Greg dies. The concern you have is just even though we looked at this and we're like, that's an amazing health pool. Oh, I don't know, just about what, 16 months ago, like a little over a year ago. We're catching up on the fall. She came out in November, the end of October, early November. Yeah. So we're approaching the 2-year mark, and so she's aged well in the damage category, decently in armor and focus and resistance, but not so much in the health category. And that's where she falls off. She kind of just gets annihilated. And this is at a 7 red star. She may not be able to survive in the 1.1 raid, but still, until other characters show up that have the mystic tag. Oh man, I did this, and it was on your list, and I talked about it.
It is what it is, man. It's like
yeah. So he's on the list, and he's up there at the top, and he's here because of one main reason. By the way, he's number one. So if you want to know where he stands, he's number 1N. So 1 through 10. Like I can't like rank them. They're all important to the end game. You gotta be you gotta be careful. Don't prioritize too many characters to build up at one time. Make sure you're focusing on Dark Dimension 4 because this is the grand prize. And so. Yeah, I know you pushed pretty hard for him. You know, what, 600 days in, and you've almost caught up with me on TCP. And that's the idea that, you know, there's definitely some you know, some value here. So the last piece of this puzzle is, so Doom is somebody who I'm going to double down on this and say it here. You heard it in Tony's video first. Make sure you check it out in the comments below. He's going to be part of many folks' arena meta when they're challenging the Infinity Watch. Be prepared.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. That disrupt is going to be really important. So I think that just rounds it out. We talked about Moondragon on your stream. Symbiote Spider-Man is a symbiote. You know, just makes the team work. Silver Surfer and Kestrel, they're over on Tony's list. So you can take a look at them. But this kind of rounds out what I recommend for raid teams. And if there's like characters missing that you guys think should belong on here, please let us know. We're gonna have some additional footage from the folks over and some of the top alliances have given us some unique footage to kind of, you know, calibrate it. So like, what about Colleen Wing? Yeah, you can find a case to use her if you brought her all the way up and have decent red stars. Sure. What about this character? Yeah, if you have the high enough red stars, maybe you can make them work. But Kestrel, hands down, without a doubt, best character in the game. Now, is she the best character for targeting for promotion? Well, Tony and I are going to go do another video next week about that. Stay tuned. All right, Tony, anything you want to say to the guys?
No, man. Just always a lot of fun hanging out with you and talking about the game, man. So,
So I hope I surprised you a little bit. I know you were like, Rem, why did
you? Yeah, you took me. Okay, that is what I have to say. You threw me for the loop, and then you did it over and over again.
Well, I
totally caught me off guard. Interesting perspective as usual, man. I think that you have a tremendous insight in the game. I just love hearing your take on other characters besides the obvious ones.
Remember, I do things you don't have to, and Tony does things because you don't want to, and we'll catch you next time.